fact is, we have been asked to settle. We've been asked to settle time and time again with our government, and we've been asked to settle on matters of great principle with our candidate for President of the United States. This can't continue. It's time for us not to settle. It's time for us to expect more.
There was Republican Senator Mike Lee back in October calling on candidate Trump to get out of the race after that Access Hollywood tape was made public. He is now a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which will be investigating the president's actions. Also the author of a new book written out of history. You see it right there. Senator Lee, thank you for joining us this morning. You've also called yourself a big fan of James Comey, said you've had great respect for him ever since you served together at the Department of Justice. Do you believe that James Comey would lie under oath?
No, he doesn't strike me as someone who would lie under oath. Nonetheless, I'm not wild about the fact that he had these memos leaked specifically with the intent of prompting the appointment of a special counsel. That doesn't seem to me to be the kind of thing we want out of an FBI director whose example will affect everyone else in a department, in a bureau where leaking seems to be a problem.
Do you think that should be investigated now? Do you think he committed a crime?
I don't know whether it's a crime. There are those who have suggested that it was. It does, at least to me, it appears to have been inappropriate. I don't think he should have done it.
But now we have two very different stories emerging from the hearings. You've had the story of President Trump saying he never asked for that Pledge of Loyalty, saying he never asked James Comey to let the Flynn investigation go. You have a very different story from James Comey. During the campaign, you were very critical of candidate Trump for suggesting that the father of your friend, Senator Ted Cruz, was somehow involved in the assassination of JFK. You said he did that without a scintilla of evidence. Senator Cruz himself called Donald Trump a pathological liar. So if it's the word of James Comey versus the word of Donald Trump, who gets the benefit of the doubt?
Look, in this circumstance, if he's got evidence of collusion, bring it forward. If he's got evidence of corruption, of obstruction, bring it forward. I have yet to see anything, even a scintilla. And so it's time to wrap this up, and it's time to move on. I don't see any evidence of anything happening here, and as a result, I think it's time to move forward.
You're saying that even if what James Comey is saying is true, you don't see the evidence?
Yeah, I don't see that amounts to obstruction. I don't see any evidence of intent to obstruct. I don't see any indication that there was even the potential for corruption here or for obstruction of justice.
The actions of Attorney General Sessions also came up during that hearing, and whether or not he should have recused himself from the whole decision to fire James Comey. You're the member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. You all have oversight over the Justice Department. Do you still have confidence in Attorney General Sessions?
I do. Jeff Sessions is a close personal friend of mine. He's someone in whom I have a lot of confidence. I don't know what exactly happened or what meetings he had. I'm confident that Jeff Sessions would never intentionally mislead anyone or intentionally misstate the truth.
And then on the broader question, the underlying issue of our relationship with Russia and the fact that Russia, according to our 17 intelligence agencies, interfered in our campaign. James Comey was unequivocal on that point. I want to play what he said.
There should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. They did it with purpose. They did it with sophistication. They did it with overwhelming technical efforts. And it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government. There is no fuzz on that.
Director Comey also testified that the president never asked him about that underlying issue. Do you believe the administration is taking that threat from Russia seriously enough?
Look, the fact that the Russian government made some effort to have an impact on our election is not, to my knowledge, contested. It's not disputed. There is, however, no evidence whatsoever of any collusion between the Russian government and any presidential campaign. And so the dispute of the underlying effort by the government is not in dispute by the Russian government. What impact it has is uncertain. But one thing of which we are certain, there is no evidence of any collusion between the Russian government and any presidential campaign.
And if Robert Mueller develops that evidence, what would that mean?
Well, look, if Robert Mueller or anyone else investigating this uncovers evidence suggesting something else, then I'm sure that will be pursued. But we have to deal with the facts as we have them now, with evidence that has been brought forward so far. And I don't see it. It's just not there.
Finally, before I let you go, I want to ask you a question on another subject. You're part of that Senate working group on health care to come up with an alternative to the House repeal of Obamacare. Are you closing in on a draft, and is it something you can support?
We're trying. We're working hard. Look, at the end of the day, if we are asked to vote on something that repeals Obamacare and that does so in a way that brings down the cost of health care for the American people, then that's something I can probably vote for. If we bring forward something that doesn't repeal Obamacare and doesn't bring down the cost of health care, that's probably something I won't be able to vote for. It's not yet clear what it's going to look like at the end of the day. I have some grave concerns about what we're doing so far, concerns that if we don't get in the right direction, if we don't pull back this massive regulatory burden that has caused health care to become the most expensive single cost that the American people have, I'm going to be very worried about what it will do to our economy.
Senator Lee, thanks for joining us this morning.